Hey everybody, this is Lisa with our Georgia Suburban Homestead. Uh, I don't know about you, but it's turning cold here. Let me turn off the sound here. Okay, there we go. Here in North Georgia, it is 46 degrees. And in just a little bit, I'll be sending Mr. Charlie out to turn on the heater in the greenhouse to protect our citrus trees. Dark Lord, thank you for coming in. Hey, Suzanne. Welcome, welcome. Because we did get the hallway up. We didn't get it totally blocked in, but we do have our what do you call it, Charlie? The gas heater in there, propane, which is what we'll use all winter with a space heater during the day for the days that are below 40. So, oh my gosh, are we having a week? What kind of week are you guys having? Dark Lord, I stopped in for a couple of your videos. Didn't say anything. I probably should get in the habit of making comments. But I am getting your alerts. I don't know. The story I'm going to tell tonight is Dark Lord or Xander. We had, our regulars, a group of regulars asked me to start talking about my time as a journalist. So I made the promise that until I ran out of things to say, or you ran out of interest, one of my broadcasts each month will have to do with my former profession. So tonight's that night, and then we'll try to get a guest in for the first week of December. I had the young lady I asked to join me decided she didn't want to do it. So is anyone out there that wants to promote their channel or just pop up and talk about what you're doing in the month of December, then go ahead and send me an email, and we'll schedule you in. Okay. So it's raining and 40 degrees, Suzanne's saying. Yeah, the humidity doesn't help you stay warm, that's for sure. That's for sure, Suzanne. And as Xander says, that snow, rain, closing my parents' shop, having to do inventory down to the last little chunky. Well, it's 46 here. A couple of nights ago, it was in the mid to upper 60s overnight, pretty routinely. And then all of a sudden decided that it was going below 40 for the next few nights. And then it'll be back up into the mid to upper 60s for a while. Georgia's not real consistent, or this part of Georgia anyway, with the temperatures. Hasn't been since we've been here. If we moved here in 2014. But I'll take it over the hurricanes in South Florida and the absolutely suffocating humidity. So here we are. So what a week we've had. What we've been doing this week, Charlie. Started out, we're now both in cardiac rehab 3 days a week. So 3 days a week we put on our workout clothes and go to the hospital and walk on treadmills and do exercise bikes and rowing machines and get our heart rates up while they watch that. And that's a barrel of laughs. Got a real bubbly workout leader or lead therapist who is very upbeat all the time. She tries her best to get yours truly to be positive. And I know a lot of days I'm just not having it. So I got to work on attitude adjustments for myself. And then things started breaking. Oh, there's a $600 plumbing bill at one of my, I've got 2 rental properties in Florida. And then the other property, we had a $300 bill, and then ended up spending about $900. And that's on top of, the costs this time of year with property taxes and insurance. My insurance on the one of my properties literally doubled. And that's a lot of money, $2,000 a year. That was crazy. So then we've been having a little bit of a rat problem in our attic. And we hired Massey Services, which I have to say I'm impressed. They're out here every few days setting traps. And I told them no poison. If you're going to kill them, we're going to have to do it fast. Yeah, insurance is amazing in Florida, Suzanne, and here in Georgia too. It's gone way up. Went up $100 a month just on my car insurance and $400 a year on the house. Anyway, what was I saying? So we've got rats, and they did an exclusion. They put flushing between where the roof comes down and meets the gutter, the rain gutter. They had to go in underneath that lip and put metal because the rats will climb up your drain. Here in Georgia, we have what's called tree rats, and they're really good climbers. So they'll climb up the drain, get into the help me out. I'm having an old lady minute. The gutters, and then chew between the gutter and the roof to get in there. So we had them come out, and they put the metal barrier. They put one along the base of the garage door. We had a hole in the chimney they had chewed from the outside, and about 4 days later, they had chewed underneath the flashing, the metal flashing that they put down, and actually chewed through brick, if you can believe it, to get in. And by now, by a couple of weeks in, we should be rat-free. But they were out yesterday or the day before yesterday, and they caught 3 more. And so we've been catching 3 to 4 rats a week, and there doesn't seem to be an end to them. Hi, Requin. Okay. They can't take money from Florida or a few other states because they're a marked state of emergencies. They aren't allowed by federal law. I'm not sure what you're saying, Xander. All I can tell you is a lot of agencies in Florida are no longer writing new policies, which makes me wonder what that does to the real estate market. And those of us who have policies are holding on with both hands, and they're going up exponentially. Yeah, probably in the chicken house. I mean, we have quite a few in the chicken house, and we haven't seen them much lately. I think they all decided they were going to move in with us here. Yeah, this is Georgia. We have woods and wildlife all around us. And like I told Massey, I don't mind the wildlife. Our property is a federally designated wildlife habitat. And the rats can go do what rats supposed to do for the environment. Just I don't want them in the house. And we've been here 10 years and we haven't had a problem, but we're making up for time right now. Here I'm chewing in the walls. Haven't heard them for a while, so I think hopefully we've almost got it beat. The guy's coming out tomorrow to reset traps. So what else broke this week? Oh, and we have one of those really fancy schmancy front load washing machines. And it's probably about 14 years old now. But the the gasket around the door, and this is a common problem if you're looking at these types of washing machines, the gaskets leak. They get a little bit of age on them when they start leaking. So Charlie, being the handy dandy person he is, says, I can fix that. So we ordered a gasket, and it came in, this week. And he sat down one night to fix it, and he can't get the new gasket back in. Isn't that right, Charlie? So maybe Charlie can tell us about the problem he's having. Can you tell us what problem you're having with that gasket, honey?
It's held on with a wire. It's held on with a couple of wires that have springs on them.
Can y'all hear him?
And the spring is so strong. The spring is so strong that I cannot, with my hand wrapped around trying to get, around the back of part of the back to expand the spring and get the wire in the groove. There's not enough working room, and my hand's just not strong enough for that spring to get it widened out to give me room to get the wire into the groove.
Yeah, so he can't get his groove on. So while he's working on that, he had just done a load of laundry, right? Figuring he'd get this done real quick and we'd do more laundry. Well, he had to order a special tool to help him with one of these springs that go between the gasket and the wall, because he's got to be able to get this spring to do what it's supposed to do, right? So he's waiting for that. He ordered it when? Wednesday? And it said it was supposed to be here Thursday today, and now it's saying maybe Friday, maybe Monday. So we've got laundry piled in the hallway. Wet laundry in the washing machine we're gonna have to redo. And we would go out and lay it around the fence that's around our garden compound, except it's been raining every day, so that's not gonna do us any good. So these are little irritations, right? My bank account's hemorrhaging money. And then the dryer dies. And he says, oh, well, I'll fix that. No problem. So he pulls the dryer out and he takes the back of the dryer off. He thought it was the switch, right? It's not the switch. It was the motor. Absolutely gonzo. And we had just replaced a dryer that we had had for most of our marriage. So we've been married 44 years. So we had a really ancient dryer that gave up the ghost probably 2 years after we moved up here, which means this dryer was 7 or 8 years old, and it's gonzo already. They really don't make things to last anymore. So we had to go out yesterday and buy a new dryer, which will be here Tuesday. So to make matters worse, when it rains, it pours, right? So we went to rehab today, and I'm pedaling away on my little exercise bike, and then Charlie's over there on the rowing machine, and his phone rings. And it was somebody saying from the fraud department at the bank, and that our account had been hacked and compromised, or the following transactions ours. And Charlie's like, he has a hard time handling that type of thing. So he comes running over to me and he hands me the phone. And I'm like, Uber Eats for $100-something, Instacart for another couple of $100. What was the other one? The other one was another food delivery thing. We don't use those, right? And I'm like, no, none of that is us. Well, is this your phone number and is this your password? And I'm like, no. And it's not the right phone number. And she says, well, what is the number? And I start to we start arguing over what our phone numbers are. We can't remember our phone numbers, or in our phones, right? And she hangs up on us. And I said to Charlie, you know, it's really strange she hung up. So when we got out of there, I called the credit union, and they said, no, we would never call and ask you for passwords and things like that. That was a scam. So now his accounts have been shut off while they reissue things and we change passwords and everything. So I'm like, please let that be the last. Let that be the last thing this week, right? So life's good. I'm not going to complain about life in general. I've got a loving husband. I've got a roof over my head. God knows I've got plenty of food. Really loving friends, and I've got this channel to help me spend some of my time. I've got my new project of jewelry making, and I'll share that with you in just a second. So I can't really complain, except sometimes I wish that the little irritating things would spread out a little bit. They all seem to come in all at once, right? But it's okay, I guess, if that means I'm not going to have any more challenges for a few months. What do y'all think? Okay, Suzanne says she knows about not having the hand strength. Unfortunately, try checking YouTube for a video, Charlie. Sometimes someone already figured out and shared the solution. He has. And that's how he learned that he needed this tool. What is the tool called? A spring spreader thing?
Spring spreader.
It's called a spring spreader. Have you ever heard of spring spreaders? Oh, man. Okay, so got a spring spreader lost in the mail somewhere out there. I have to go to the post office and talk to the postmaster. 12 times now we've gotten mail from the wrong street, and then they said the package was delivered at noon. It was dropped off at 5:15 p.m. Yeah. I ordered back in late September, Xander. I ordered something called nail stamps. It's you put paint or fingernail polish on a metal plate, put this rubber thing on it to get the cutout form, and then you stamp your fingernails. But I watched a video on doing it with cabochon resin stones, and it really gives you a 3D effect. So I said I'll order a few of these plates and do that for some of the jewelry I'm making, and it still hasn't come. Amazon kept saying it's in the mail, it's lost. No, it's lost, it's coming, it's stuck in customs. So today I just say give me my money back on it. So reflect on light, if you all don't remember, that is Charlie. And while I'm noticing Charlie being active here, I want to thank Suzanne and Charlie for being moderators for this live broadcast. Suzanne does a bang up job. She's worth her weight in gold. And I love you a lot, Suzanne, and appreciate every second that you give us. How much was it? How much was the tool, Charlie? I don't want to click on it. It'll take me away from the screen. Xander's just a whack troller. Xander does a good job, too. No. So I love you all. So who else is here? We have quite a few people here. So everyone say hi. We'll get to story time in a minute. So my lead therapist has bought 3 rings, 2 bracelets, and 1 bracelet she had me turn into an anklet. I hadn't even thought of anklets. Do you remember the peacock, the red and brass peacock beads that I made? She bought that, but she added a few beads to it so to go around her ankle. What?
About $10.
Oh, about $10? That's not bad. So my week has driven me to drink. I've got in here really stout coffee, homemade vanilla extract, a little bit of creamer, a little bit of sugar, but then I've got Tej. Do you know what Tej is? Who knows what Tej is? Raise your hand. Who knows Tej? Tej. Now I'll wait for you all to tell me what Tej is. I'm going to read this. I admit when I'm proud of the laziness when I am, flops over and lays there with the whack of troll hammer ready. Tej is honey wine. But in this instance, it's honey Jack Daniels. Now, I use alcohol in cooking. I'm not supposed to drink it for religious reasons. And of course, as a diabetic, and I have no idea what my heart medication will do with it. But I needed a drink tonight. Who is that? That's GB. GB is my familiar. And when he wants to be held, you don't have a choice. You want to come here? I'm about to start a story. Fur baby. I am his fur baby. I am his fur baby. What are you doing? You going back up there? He's 21 years old. How does he look to y'all? I've got a video I've got to load and release. I'll probably do it. If I don't do it tonight after we get off the air, I'll do it tomorrow. And you see how we spend our evening together. I am his servant. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And he's got, I don't know if you can see, he's got a crick in his tail. See how it's got an L in it? He had his tail broken when he was just a teeny little kitty. I hand raised him. He came to me. A friend of mine who's a trapper in South Florida brought me a litter of kittens after the mother had been hit by a car. And none of them had their eyes open yet. So I've been in his life since he was probably a week, 10 days old. And we had a boxer by the name of Moaner, 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 because she moaned and talked all the time, who would lay on a blanket beside my chair as I worked. I worked from home doing my reporting from home. And she liked having the kittens around her, and she reached out and grabbed him by his tail to pull him between her paws and broke his tail when he was just a little thing. So every time I pet him and I feel his tail, I always think of Moaner and the special relationship she had with him. Yeah, he's and his brothers. Where's Brucey still in? Did he go out? Charlie.
You talking to me?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Where's Brucey?
He's in the bedroom, locked in the
Is
bedroom.
He? Okay. Charlie had to lock Brucey in the bedroom because he kept crawling all over him. But Brucey's GB's litter mate. Brucey's the garden cat, the black and white cat that's in a lot of my videos. But they're both 21 this year. GB stands for golden boy or good boy. I know I come up with the strangest names. Yeah, so if anyone ever accuses me of not taking care of my animals well, I'll say, well, tell them that, right? 21 years old is pretty good for a cat, I think. And the possum's still going, and she's 1.5 years. By now, she'd be dead out in the wild, probably. Although we did see a possum come into the yard last night. Might be one of her siblings or maybe her nephew. She's got it really rough. She eat, sleep, shit, eat, repeat. So before I get to my story, I'm going to show you, I've been practicing my wire wrapping, Tree of Life. And I recently found a video that talked about using stones in the Tree of Life, giving the tree leaves. So, of course, I had to order some chips. Meanwhile, I've got a new fetish with healing crystals. Now, I'm learning about healing crystals. So, if anyone listening or anyone of my internet family here knows about crystals, feel free to educate me about them. All I know is I think they're pretty. Anyway, so you see the back of the tree of life that I did here? Now, this is a handmade, hand-poured resin. I did the resin. And then the tree of life comes up the center. And then I put, gosh, what is that name of this stone? Anyone recognize this green stone? I know the red, little red stones, the red chips that are in there, that I'm trying to make it look like an apple tree. I know that is, why isn't my brain working? That's jasper. So it's red jasper, and I know what the green is. Okay, so remember to clean them monthly in water and out in the sun, and by moonlight once a month. I have to clean them? Quartz? No. Oh, aventurine? Aventurine? That sound familiar, Sandra? Aventurine? Yeah, aventurine. Green aventurine, right. Now I've got some jade. I've got something called Yugdamuzi. And then yesterday I got making rings. Where did my ring go? Oh, here it is. And I've got, so I enjoy brass. But I made this last night. Can you see that? That is black lava stone and opal chip. So I've also ordered a bunch of crystals. What would you call that? A crystal? That's not a tower, because the tower are the big ones, right? So I'm experimenting with different shapes of wrapped long crystals. Let's see. So that's what yours truly has been doing. And I had wrapped this. This is a resin cabochon. And I'm not going to be able to sell this one because it's kind of sticky and I can't get it to cure. I mean, I even have a handheld lamp here somewhere. You'll have to believe me. I've got a little, like a pen lamp, UV light. There it is. This is kind of neat. As I'm making jewelry, working with the resin, I can hold that on the resin and it'll spot cure. Like sometimes I'll spot cure something to a piece of jewelry so it stays more secure. So that's what yours truly has been up to this week, putting out fires and Oh, I've got seeds coming in. That'll be the next broadcast. We'll go over the seeds I ordered for next year, if you all are interested. But so let's get into my little story for you tonight. It's one of the last stories that I worked on before leaving CBS News in Miami to move here. And it's a story that I was assigned. Okay, I was a web jockey. I was in charge of taking the broadcast news stories and rewriting them for basically a print audience, because I consider the web reporting to be the print media more than broadcast, because you're actually typing the story and then you insert snippets from the video from the broadcast into the story. And I was assigned this one particular story because the facts were rolling in so quickly that we had to keep going in and updating or publishing little vignette updates. And I had finally gotten to the point where I stopped having nightmares maybe 6 months ago with this story, but it's one that kept coming back in my dreams. And I spent a lot of my time during the day here watching, making jewelry and watching true crime broadcasts on YouTube, 48 hours, that type of thing. And up pops this story, and it's has to do with Jorge Barahona. Has anyone heard of Jorge Barahona? Anyone can, off the top of your head, no Googling. Jorge Barahona. What did Jorge do? Hey, Tiffany, welcome in. Yeah, I've been doing drive-bys with Tiffany, too. This life, it just has us both running all sorts of different directions. Isn't that right, Tiffany? Anyway, it was the year was 2011. And it was Valentine's Day, and I'm sitting there doing my usual Valentine's Day stories, little happy little things, posting online, and just the routine, crime stories and other news tidbits that happen in South Florida. And here comes a press release on the heels of a phone call. I get a phone call, and it's the police department, and they said, we just sent you a press release on a particularly disturbing thing that we found today, and there's going to be more coming out, but we sent you the preliminary. And I looked at it, and Jorge Barahona had an exterminating business, so he worked with, chemicals and poisons and insecticides and this type of thing. It's what he did for a living. And he was also a foster parent. And they had found him in his extermination truck at the side of the road up in Palm Beach County. And in the passenger side of his truck, he had a 10-year-old boy who had been sprayed down pretty thoroughly with pesticides, totally drenched. Then he had been doused in gasoline. And the fumes from this had caused Barahona to get so faint, he had pulled over at the side of the road and got out of his truck. So a motorist saw him standing beside his truck, kind of swaying like he was drunk, and pulled over, smelled the chemicals, called the cops. Cops come in, find the situation, And in the back of the truck was a garbage sack with the remains of the little boy's sister. The little boy and his sister were twins. And she had died, and she was stuck in this bag like a pile of trash and tied. And what Jorge had intended to do was to go into the, probably, I'm just conjecture on my part, they were heading kind of toward the Loxahatchee entrance, the Loxahatchee Everglades entrance, where you can dump all sorts of things. And he was going to dump her body and set her brother on fire. That was their intention. They were able to get the little boy to a hospital where he spent months recuperating. And if you think that's bad enough, it gets worse. So as I'm sitting there and having to update everything that they're starting to find out that came in, it's one of those things that kind of dug into my soul. You know, it's left me broken. It broke me as a journalist. I mean, I was like, is there someone else you can assign this to? Because I'm not sleeping. I can't eat. I mean, the pictures I was getting were too graphic to share. Evidently, the Barajonas were foster parents for business. Now, I know all of us are aware that some people go into foster care for the money, to get the government money. And most of us are aware of the terrible abuses. Hey, David. The terrible abuses that you find in the foster system. And that's something we need to address as a culture, I think, is totally revamp our foster system and adoption system and this type of thing. They had adopted these children, obviously had come from a rough background to be in the system to begin with, because the Florida Department of Children, you've got to be doing something pretty bad to get your kids taken away. I mean, they put kids back into families that had no business having children in the first place. I'm going to do a sidebar and tell you, just as an illustration, there was a little boy, a toddler, taken away from his mother and father because of an abusive situation. The father had to discipline the kid when the kid was having a tantrum or just crying or whatever, would take him to the toilet, hold him up by his ankles, and put his head under the water and dunk him until he quit crying. They actually gave that kid back to the father, and the father ended up killing the kid. So that's the kind of system you have in Florida. So back to the Barajonas down in Miami. These children weren't allowed to go to school. The neighbors never saw them in the yard, but there were other children in the family. They did go to school and go outside and play. And this is what I think is so bizarre, is the children never talked to anybody to say, hey, we've got a brother and a sister at home that mom and dad like to strip naked and tie them up and put them in the bathtub, tied up for days. They may not feed them, whatever. And I guess if they used the bathroom, they got hosed down. It came out later that Barahona would go into the little foster child's bedroom when she was allowed to sleep in her bed and do adult things to her. It's not clear whether the little boy suffered the same thing. But you're talking about, you've got the father, the mother, they've got children in the home, a grandmother that came and went, friends that came and went. You can't tell me that they weren't aware of something going on. Because the bodies of these children, they had broken bones, chemical burns, signs of adult abuse. And so the story sticks with me. The details I won't share with you sticks with me to today. And I was sitting here about a week and a half ago with the 48 hours going on, the TV show, and up pops the Barahona case. And for a long time in the back of my mind, I would think, I wonder if they ever really gave this guy the death penalty, because I knew they were going to try he and his wife both with the death penalty on the table. Okay, David, I'm sorry. Love you. We'll see ya. So I've often wondered what came of it, and the 48-hour show was going on about it, and it was updated just within the last month. And evidently the wife turned on the husband, and she's testifying against Jorge. But the problem is Jorge, as of March of this year, has been deemed incompetent to stand trial. So my fear is this nut job is going to get off with an insanity plea. The little boy that survived this is no longer in Florida. He's living somewhere in Texas. And another part of me wonders what's going to happen to him. I mean, emotionally and mentally, he's got to be one tormented soul. So it's dealing with this story. I've dealt with other murder stories and violence and man's inhumanity to man. But this particular story, for reasons I don't know, has impacted me in a very, very deep level, as I say, to my soul. I can't get it out of my head. So that's the story that broke me. You asked for it. I gave it to you. What do you think? What are your impressions? I ran people off with the story. Talk to me. Everybody sitting there in shock. I don't blame you. Imagine having to deal with it several times a day, every day for weeks and weeks. And, my heart goes out to the police officers who have to work these types of cases and to do the detective work to uncover all the little turns and twists and connections and do the history. So what do you all think? My state, they gave a young child back and the child was killed. The system is broken. Yeah, broken people in a broken system. So what do you all think of the police officers? What would you... A lot of people are anti-cop, but, God bless them for trying to follow the leads on a story like this. And, a lot of times the journalists that do the investigative work uncover things the cops don't. And I mean, I did when I was doing investigative work. I solved quite a few crimes for law enforcement and became like a darling to them, where they would call me if something big was happening, and they'd call me and not the other press. And I would get first dibs, if you will, on the story because of the things I'd contribute. I've solved murders and crimes and told them where I thought maybe some drug labs were, and I was right. You're a good investigator. You'd be surprised what you can come across. That's in hiding in plain sight. But think about think about the people who have to deal with this as a profession. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a difference between disciplining and beating. There are good cops and bad cops. We have had a number of investigations here, including selling stuff from the evidence locker and writing fake tickets to cover fake overtime. Well, yeah, or having sex with people while you're on the clock. That's a common one. Um, and you've got your bad apples like you do everywhere else. The problem is when they're in a position of power and abuse their power for personal gain. And I don't want to excuse any of that behavior, but yes, it happens. Uh, but it does. It takes your toll. It took its toll on me. And now that 48 hours popped up on my screen week before last, now it's back in my head. So when I was thinking about what story can I tell everyone tonight, I was thinking, well, it's a terrible story. But I don't want you all to think that reporting and journalism is all fun and games. Of course, most of you are aware of all the journalists being killed over in the Middle East. The Israelis are targeting journalists, and there's been more than 100 just Palestinian journalists, but now they're killing their own and killing journalists in Syria and Lebanon. And they find out where you're standing giving your broadcast, and they zero in and bomb you. So those are war correspondents, which is what I wanted to do. Never really got the chance. But I didn't have to leave the United States to be in danger, as Charlie will tell you. Charlie, what was your biggest fear when I was out in the field?
Getting shot.
He was afraid of me getting shot, kidnapped. If I got kidnapped, they would have given me back real quick. But I was shot and attacked a few times, and I had no idea how scared he stayed whenever I stepped out the door and went to work. But I was willing to take the risks. It was comes with the territory. Yeah, I would have bothered them. Yeah. Interrogate my cap. They would have my face duct tape for sure. The documentaries that I produced, they took us into war zones, Israel, Chechnya, Israel again. And they wouldn't let me actually come into the countries, the producer and the director of the film company, because I would have had to go through terrorist capture training where they teach you how to handle it if you're kidnapped, because it was real expensive and he didn't want to spend that. So I produced from afar. But heck, things are exciting enough here in the United States. I mean, I got strip searched at the Dallas airport. I was making a documentary on Boeing aircraft being faulty, and we made the prediction that the skins were going to peel off the plane and planes were going to crash. I think I've talked about that in one of my prior live broadcasts, how we predicted the things that were happening in Canada and Hawaii and in Europe. We had a flight. We predicted all that with my documentary that won a silver medal for international investigative work. While I was making that, after I had made it, I was flying home. I had a layover from Wichita in Dallas, and they strip searched me. Um, and when I got back in touch with the director and the cameraman who had flown over from the UK to make the documentary, they said, yeah, and they tried to confiscate their film and whatever. So Boeing was in on that. Yeah. Hey there, Alfonso. How are you? Yeah. So anyone have any questions about what the story I told tonight, or commentary on that type of work, that aspect? Have you ever thought of being a journalist or what goes into journalism, covering these stories? Hey, y'all, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. I'm over here and just switch from StreamYard over to YouTube. I've got 5 thumbs up. I'd like more than that. Should I send David a... That would have been funny, Xander. But I was using 4-letter words and really letting them have it. Of course, it probably didn't make it any easier on myself. Suzanne doesn't think she's cut out for the gruesome stories. You learned a carpet. I don't know what's wrong with me tonight. Oh, I know what's wrong with me. That's what I'm drinking. Compartmentalize. Is that the word I'm looking for? Things that are gruesome or disturbing. You literally, you learn to wall off your emotions and you look at it analytically and you think about, that's where your training comes in, the who, what, where, when, why. You know the types of information you need to be able to write the story for the general audience. So if you focus on getting those questions answered, you stick all your emotions into a compartment in the back of your mind. You kind of turn off your emotions. You get that done. You can't let it fluster you. With me, I'd get back to my desk, I'd write it, and I was very mechanical in my writing. And they teach you to write in what's called an inverted pyramid. So all your real important facts are up top, and you get the least important things down toward the bottom of the story. So theoretically, whenever you read a newspaper, the whole story should have been told you in the first 2 to 3 paragraphs of that story. And the rest of it is like explanatory. So you learn how to do that, and you're like a mechanic. I've got to do A, B, C, and D. And once you hit that button and submit that story, then you break down. But you try not to do it in the newsroom. You go into the break room and have your meltdown. But with the Barahona case, he broke me. I sat at my desk and blubbered the whole time I was doing those updates. And my colleagues would come over and say, you got to calm down. They're going to come down on you. And I'm like, I can't. It bothered me more than anything else I had covered to that point. And I'd covered some pretty gruesome stuff. But for some reason, these children, and with each update, it got worse and worse and worse. So I honestly don't, Mr. Happy and getting stuck somewhere. Okay, Sander, until the day we both die, when you look at me, you're going to think about Mr. Happy in a in a filtration hole, aren't you? What the evil, the Barahona story is evil, yeah, and the possibility of him. I hope there's no possibility of him getting out for reasons of insanity. But it's Florida, and you know, all sorts of weird things happen in Florida. They turn that guy loose. Let's see if I can find the story. The little girl's name was Nubia. Let's see. Here's a press release for you. For those of you who want nightmares, here you go. And I think I found something with his picture of it. NBC6 South Florida, CBS News. Okay, this is as of March 2024, and this is the this story is one that if I was still with CBS in Miami, this would have been me, because this is CBS out of Miami on the web. So the person writing this would have been me in 2011. Yeah. So that was my job. That second link I put in there, that was my job, is doing those types of stories. I'm looking in the gutter, which the gutter are the things that go along the side of the page, and I'm noticing that human trafficking. There's a human trafficking story. I did a series of exposés on human trafficking while I was in Florida. I think I was either writing for the Sun Sentinel or the Miami Herald. But that was an eye-opening series there on human trafficking and the the slave trade, and the Russians have all sorts of mob activities in South Florida with human trafficking. And that was kind of scary. But it didn't disturb me to the point that Barahona did. I was interviewing women who were one young lady that I interviewed was told in Russian, things are really bad after the curtain fell. People were struggling to try to figure out how to support themselves. And young women were answering advertisements saying that you can come do clerical work, secretarial work. We'll take you in, we'll train you in the job, and you can send all this money, back to your family. And they would show up for these job interviews and get kidnapped and put into sex trafficking. I'm sorry, YouTube's not going to like that word. And she said that she explained how she came into the country in California and then was transferred to New York and then transferred to Florida and then back to New York. And they keep them moving and bouncing from state to state because they're harder to trace that way. And her family has no idea where she was, and God knows what happens to them after a while. Okay, what are my rights if I'm taken away from my parents due to domestic violence and having to relocate 1,000 miles away from my hometown, New Mexico, which I'm currently in Colorado? Yeah, that's a question for an attorney, Alfonso. I'm not an attorney. I'm just the person that would write about it. So I'd probably be asking the same questions you have, but I may have a better idea on who to ask. So I would think a civil rights attorney would be a good way to go. Everyone's awful quiet. If I scared everyone into or grossed everyone out. Oh, I'm sorry that if that's your case, Alfonso. I'm sorry. Or they're reading the stories, yeah. So let's see if I can come up with a happier story. I'm going to run out of things to tell everybody about because everything else was routine and mundane and boring. I either had really gross things or some things were really funny. I did a series on alternate lifestyles. Maybe that should be for another broadcast where I explored the world of I went to gay bars, I went to strip bars, I went to nudist colonies, swing clubs. What was that? What else was in that series? Do you remember, Charlie? I think he's asleep. Maybe we can talk about those lifestyles.
Series.
Yeah, that series of stories I did. You were probably still overseas.
I was overseas.
He was overseas while I was doing all that.
You got to remember, I'm on like a 5 or 10 second delay.
He's on a 10-second delay. He doesn't hear me. He's got his ear set on. But yeah, I've got some stories out of the research for those places. The nude beach. You know, people say, "Oh, let's go to the nude beach." Think of all these. They're picturing these hard bodies, you know, good-looking people walking around naked, and what you got with is 300-pound Canadians in Speedos. Old folks sitting around in armchairs comparing surgery scars. I mean, you know, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to say burning their tenders. Excuse me, young lady, will you rub some suntan lotion on for me? No. Oh, come on, somebody laugh. Okay. Suzanne, oh my. Oh, don't drink beer on the beach. You don't. No one likes sand in their schlitz, right? All right, so do I wake everybody up by mentioning seeds? I'm going to do a giveaway. A couple of giveaways tonight because I haven't done that in a while. And I got a little bit of money to spend on postage. Let's see, I like to work in threes. And what am I going to give away? Seeds! Hey, did everyone who won the milkweed seeds and the mullein seeds for me, did they come in? You know, the mail service around here is so bad that I'm never sure if people don't send me a, hey, I got whatever it was you won, and say, hey, it got here. I don't know if they got there or not. Okay, because we got things disappear in our mail system. I'm sending David Gray a note. Okay, so I just sent David Gray a note saying I'm done with the disturbing stuff and I'm about to do a prize drawing. Come back. And get Baker Creek up, ready to go. Close out the Barahona thing. All right, I'm back. Suzanne got hers. Suzanne, did you get the mullein and the orange milkweed? I know you got the milkweed because I remember talking about it needing cold stratification. Now, Alfonso's still asking about rewrites as the person that gets put into foster. I don't know, Alfonso. And again, you need to contact an attorney with those kind of questions. Boy, I tell you, that was strong honey wine. Okay, so I have made a bunch of Christmas ornaments, and I'm willing to send you a Christmas ornament. And this is a light green one I did. And if you win it, you can have it like that, or we can put a Grinch face on it. Okay, so the winner gets to choose plain or Grinch. Okay, so Suzanne says, I have mullein. Oh, okay. Yeah, there's quite a bit in there when you do that. I'll put the spike in a plastic bag and roll it like that and make all the seed come out. Yeah, I've got volunteer mullein up all in the yard right now. We're going to have it everywhere next year. All right, so if you want Where to? Oh, I'm sorry, GB. I'm sorry. If you want Christmas tree ornament, it's, you gotta type better than I do. Okay, I'm gonna wait till the minute turns over here. So Thanksgiving's next week for those of us in the lower 48. Move. Kitty, kitty, kitty. That's not your pretty part. No, it's not your pretty part. All right. You got 1 minute. Type hashtag Xmas. If you want your name on the wheel. Oh. He wants a chance on the Xmas. I wish y'all could feel this. He's just vibrating, just purring, purr, purr. Just two of us want ornaments. I can't do this with you in my arms. I can't do this with you in my arms. Well, y'all, what am I going to do with this cat? Can I get you to go back up there? He says no. I'm going to put you down. Oh, he is a keeper. I belong to him. All right. So let's go present, share screen, wheel of names. Can you hear me? There goes GB, so upset. Xander and Suzanne. Okay. Oh, Xander. Right on the line. I mean, just a breath away from the line. Ha ha ha. Okay, Xander, so do you want the Grinch face or you want it plain? What do you think, Xander? Grinch. Okay. Uh-oh. Look who's back. I'm about to work with a sticker. Oh, you're going to... Now he's digging a hole in my desk. All right, so we won't put your sticker on right now, Xander. Do send me an email. Remind me to send that to you. What are you doing? Yes. Oh, you go up there. You go. He's digging into my shoulder. Help! Help! Oh, oh, Lord. All right. Welcome to my life. Yeah. So the next one, I'm going to give away a crystal. You know, I'm going to get upset if you don't stop. This is what he wants me to do, is to hold him on his back. He's farting. Oh my God, there's nothing quite as bad. Chibi. Anyway, this is what he wants. He wants me to rub his tummy. I mean, do without the farts. I don't think anybody on the internet wants to know what. Oh, hey. All right. I don't know what kind of crystal that is. Those of you who are into crystals, what is this? I was educated at the last market we went to that you need to wrap crystals in copper. So this is wrapped in copper for their power to be amplified, evidently. So, yeah, I did a smug face right then. Yeah. So, hashtag crystal will give you a chance. Excuse me, I don't know why I'm hiccuping. Give you a chance at the crystal if you want to wear it. What are you doing? You got a minute. So who wants a crystal? Hashtag crystal. Hey. Would you go up on the chair, please? Will you? No one wants a crystal. Oh, yeah, Suzanne does. Well, that's going to be a short spin. Look at his face as I scratch him. Think that feels good? You my boy? Oh, I love you. I love you too. Yes, I do. I love you. Okay. I gotta do one more giveaway. Anybody want a cat? Let's see. I wouldn't part with him. All right, so Suzanne got the crystal. Obviously, I don't have to spin the wheel for that. And my next question is, where did it go? Did you like the green one? This one's black and white with little flecks of yellow in it. And this is a clear, I think that's supposed to be a rose quartz, but looks like clear quartz to me. Which one do you like, Suzanne? Okay, Suzanne is the green one. Did you happen to see what the cat did with it? Oh, right here. So that's Suzanne. And for the third prize, and a thank you for coming to my live broadcast, I'll offer some seed. And now the question is, do you want whoever wins will either go to Baker Creek or what do I have here? I have cat fart. God. I've got the orange mullen. The orange milkweed, which takes cold stratification. And I probably have the mullen over behind me in my seed box. But I also have harvested peppers. And right now in the kitchen drying, I have ahi pineapple, which is a yellow pepper. I've got Bishop's Crown, which I think is mild. Other people say it's hot, but I say it's mild. Kind of looks like a three-lobe bishop's hat. What else do I have out there, Charlie? I've got various Indian chilies. There's one from Kashmir called Kashmiri that's really kind of like dried raisin flavor with a little bit of heat. And the other one is Teja, Teja. It's a little bit hotter. So if you want seeds, so if you want seeds, I'll give you a little bit of time to do hashtag seeds and get on the wheel and then be thinking about which of those seeds you want. So starting now, hashtag seeds. Suzanne's on the wheel. I guess David's not coming back. I sent him an email. Should we put David on the wheel just because? I'm sorry. So I'm going to put David just because I ran him off with my story, right? Okay. So I'm spinning the wheel. And Suzanne has won it. Yay! Wonder why StreamYard wouldn't put the wheel on the screen for me. Anyway, so Suzanne, what kind of seeds do you want? Want some of my pepper pods, or would you rather go to Baker Creek and shop? Maybe I should stick this sticker on before the cat comes back. So Xander, don't forget to remind me what you won. So when I get up tomorrow, I can sit here and get packages ready. We're about to have a cat fight. I can hear them cranking up back there. It's smiling. No, the orange one, it's either the two girls, the cat we call Stinker, the one we call Angel. Neither one of them are angels. And the eyeballs don't want to come off of here. There they go. There's the eyeballs. All right, Xander. How's that look? Ah! All right. Here's Brucey the garden cat. Okay, it's L. Bolivar. L. Bolivar at bellsouth.net. And this is Jeevy's brother. I mean, he shared a womb with him. They're exactly the same age.
You want out?
He goes, no, I don't want out. It's cold. Charlie Alfonso says Walmart is giving away free turkeys. Yes, free turkeys to those who can outrun security.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, they get you on camera. You purr a little louder. Everyone can hear you. Yeah, it's a good boy. As you can see, we got a lot of love here at our Georgia suburban homestead. Lots of love. Lots of love. So I want to thank y'all for hanging out with me tonight. And I won't say I hope you enjoyed my story, but I hope you enjoyed hearing about some of the things you've got to do in the biz, the news biz. It's not all fun and games. Not all meeting celebrities. It is exciting. Some of it's exciting in a good way, and some of it's exciting in a not so good way. And if you have any friends or relatives who are contemplating going into the news industry, tell them don't. Don't do it. It's corporate media today. It's not about news. It's about money. And if you want to shill for the big corporations and lie for them, go right ahead and go into it. But I don't think you can call it journalism anymore. That's just my opinion. Yes, I love you. Yes, I love you. So thanks again for coming in. Those of you who won, let me put a banner up real quick with my email on it. Let's see. There's a banner. That's my email. I'll leave it up for a second while we sign off. Tell me what you won. Give me your mailing address, although I probably know a couple of you by heart now. And what shall we send David just because we love him? And he's having a rough time, he says. Shall we send him seed or a crystal or an ornament or what? What do y'all say? Y'all weigh in your vote for an I Love You, David gift. If you can see me through the cat. I can't read my screen right now. Thank you. Do I need to blow my nose? Oh, come here. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, all my moderators. Love you all. Thank you for the people who are lurking who never said hello. And join me next time. I plan on being here. First Thursday. Oh, here comes another cat. First Thursday in December. I don't know who's going to be here with me or if anybody. I sure would enjoy someone popping up and saying, hey, have me on. Especially those of you who tend to come in and watch after the broadcast. Because I do have probably about 30 people who will watch this after we're done. Send me an email saying, yeah, I'll come in as a guest. And even though if you're new, if you've come over from Tuber Chat and we don't know each other yet, if you want to come up and talk about your channel, let's discuss doing that, okay? So send me an email if you're interested. And to the rest of you, let's see, we'll have celebrated Thanksgiving by then. And remember, no matter how bad life is, we all have something to be thankful for. Maybe you find that. Maybe you find some thanks and some beauty in the next week. Think about it. And if you're stressed out with the holidays, remember this too shall pass. Okay? If you need help dealing with emotions, don't be afraid to reach out. Okay? So, love you all. Thank you for coming. And we'll see you again, inshallah. Bye. Brucey says bye too.